All right, everyone, welcome to week number 1 of Creative Presentation. My name is Kristen Heaney. I am your instructor over the course of the next 4 weeks, and I just wanted to give you guys a very big, warm welcome to not only our course, but also to Full Sail as a whole. So we were talking a little bit in the chat box a little bit before I hit the record button and got started. So this is how we will interact once a week in a somewhat kind of a lecture session. It will be about 2 hours each week. This one might run a little bit over as it tends to be the longest. But I just wanted to let you know that this is where we will generally kind of come together once a week, go over the content of the items that I'd like you to learn this week. I'd go over in very great detail the assignments that I'm expecting you to do and also show you examples as well. So this is a really great area to interact with me, interact with your classmates. I have 3 full sections of creative presentation, so it's also an opportunity for you to interact with classmates that aren't necessarily in your own section where you would see them, kind of interacting in discussion boards and things like that. So this is yet another networking opportunity for you guys to get to know some other students in the exact same situation and position that you're in right now. So again, my name is Kristen Heaney. I'm going to be your instructor for the course of the next 4 weeks, so we'll be getting to know each other pretty well. So before I start, I do like to share this little screenshot that I did probably about 1.5 years ago, quite a while ago, but it was just a really captivating image talking about Full Sail's motto: if you're serious about your dream, we'll take your dreams seriously. And I have found that to be true. If you guys are kind of heading out, navigating the whole path and being the leader of your own education, you will have so many people standing behind you, pushing you across the finish line, cheering you on to get there. But you have to kind of be at the head of that ship and making sure that you are the one that is very, very serious about your dreams, serious about your coursework, and moving through all of the different classes and the assignments and everything that you're going to experience here. So I think that's a good way to kind of kick off our month together. Congratulations on a big decision that you guys have all made to either, pursue college for the first time. You're here in a very first college course, or perhaps you've tried a different school and you're coming here instead, or maybe you're going back after quite a bit of time away from an academic environment. So whatever your path, welcome to you. It's a great decision that you've made. I think you're going to enjoy your time here. I think that it's sometimes challenging, especially in an online environment, to feel like you're a part of a larger whole with the university. But we will try and do everything that we can to make sure that you guys feel that you're in just a very immersive learning environment. That's my goal for you guys. So my agenda for today it's a pretty lengthy day, as I mentioned. It's our longest lecture of the 4. But here's just a brief agenda of what I intend to move through our lecture today. First and foremost, I will talk a little bit about why creative presentation is your first course. Everyone is taking this as a first month class. Next, we'll move into some introductions, not only of myself, but a couple of you. Hopefully you'll volunteer to introduce yourselves as well. The FSO platform, I want to show you a little bit about, what I'm expecting and how you use the FSO platform. It's very important in submitting assignments and communication. Policies and procedures, and then we'll go into a lengthy discussion about your week 1 assignments. I also have examples to show you. Lastly, we'll talk a little bit about content, wrap it up for the day, and then we will be done hopefully around 3 o'clock. And then normally I offer time to just kind of linger in the go-to session to ask questions, to interact with you guys, just to kind of have like after class time if you have anything that comes up that you wanted to talk about, okay? So first and foremost, as I mentioned, why creative presentation? So I think for the majority of my students, as I've been at Full Sail for over 1.5 years now, especially in the week 1 discussion board, a lot of students say, I really wasn't expecting to have to take an oral communications class as my first one. I'm not too happy about it. But on the other hand, if you kind of look at it in a different way, communication is going to be the backbone of any successful career path. You will always have to connect, communicate, talk about your ideas, present your ideas to someone else in order for them to kind of take on their own life. So learning how to effectively communicate will absolutely be vital for the success in any path that you're going down. So take a different perspective. If you are one of the students, it's like, oh, I don't really like having to do presentations and things like that. Really take it on as a challenge, and how can I grow from this experience? So that's why we start with creative presentation, all about learning how to communicate effectively. All right, so actually I skipped this part. Let me do this because Chad, I picked on you before our formal start of the session. Chad had his hand up and I unmuted his microphone, and he said, I'm just not sure how this whole thing works yet. So you will see, guys, in the GoToTraining control panel, a couple of options just to get you familiar with it. So there is that little hand that can come up, and that will kind of alert me to someone wanting to talk over the microphone or that there's a question. Now, keep in mind that I can only see about the first 5 students listed here in the session. So I have to scroll up and down to see that. I do see your chat box, or the chat box, the entire time while the live GoToTraining is happening. Unfortunately, for the students that are viewing the recording after, if you're not able to make the live session, I do record them all, and you're viewing the recording, you won't be able to see the chat box. So oftentimes, if you guys have questions that come up, I will often repeat the question. So I, one, don't look like a crazy person and I'm just talking to to the wall. But I want to be sure that everyone who's watching the recording knows what I'm responding to. So that's the reasoning for that. But if you're in the live session, you can see the chat box. Within the chat box, you can address your question to the entire audience. You can send a direct message to other attendees within the room, or you can send private messages to me. So those are a couple of options. I will periodically stop and see if there's any questions, scroll through the attendee list to see if there's any hands up and things like that. So just take a moment to kind of get familiar with it. Just another thing, I do keep everyone muted throughout the session. That would be a lot of background noise. If not, so if you do want to talk, then I will have to kind of manually unmute or unmute your microphone so that you can do that, so that everybody isn't getting all that background noise at the same time. So that's just a little bit about the GoToTraining control panel. Those are really the items that you will need to be familiar with as we're working through our month. All right, guys, so introductions, a little bit about me. So let me introduce myself to you. Again, my name is Kristen Haney. I am a associate course director here at Full Sail. I've been here for about a year and 7 months. I've taught this course about 18 times now, as we do it monthly. I'm wrapping up my July course, and I am now beginning my August course with you guys. So my main job here is to teach creative presentation. For about a year, I also took on another class called Professional Communication and Presentations, which was one that most students were taking towards the end of their degree program. But I won't be teaching that this month. My sole focus will be on my CRP classes. So this is a little bit of my contact information for you. That's my email address, khaney@fullsail.com. And that phone number that you see is my office extension. So I do also give you guys my Google Voice number. And this actually comes straight into my cell phone. I can receive phone calls and text messages at the Google Voice number. It's not appearing on the screen right now because I do upload these to YouTube. I just don't want that number getting out, but it is accessible to you guys in the announcement section and within the platform. So if you do want to contact me, you are free to do that on the Google Voice number. And I do actually say that I prefer you try me there because oftentimes I'm not in the office. We do have a few work from home days. For instance, right now I am at home, so I wouldn't be able to receive your calls at the office number, but I will always have my cell phone on me, so that might be a better route if you're trying to reach me by phone or by text, okay? So just personally and professionally, a little bit more about me. Those are my 2 little monsters who are going to be starting back at school, thank God. In 2 weeks, they'll be back in 2 weeks from yesterday. My little one on the right is Jake. He's going into the 6th grade. And my oldest on the left is Joey. He is going into the 8th grade. So y'all, I have 2 preteen and teen middle school boys in my household who have been addicted to Fortnite for the last 10 weeks, I believe. I don't think I can do anything to peel them away from the screen. This game has inundated my life. So that's a little bit about me. They are obviously the two most important people in my life, and I love being a mom to them, but I also love being an educator. So I am a Central Florida resident. I've lived here my entire life. I went to college at UCF, which is the University of Central Florida, and I have a Bachelor of Arts in political science, and decided instead of going to law school that I wanted to study communication. So I obtained a Master of Arts degree in corporate communications and technology from Rollins College back in 2003. So just been a while since I have been as a student, but I've been teaching for quite a while, about 5.5 years. 4 years of that was at two local colleges, Valencia College and also Seminole State College. And then I moved over to Full Sail full-time in December of 2016. So I have been here full-time faculty ever since. Absolutely love this place. Great curriculum, great coworkers. I absolutely love my coworkers. They're a lot of fun, very, very different interests, very different backgrounds, but we all come together very nicely in our creative presentation department. So that's just a little bit about me. Here's some of my office hours. All right, so my office hours are all over the place, as you can see, which is actually one of the nice benefits of working at Full Sail. It's very flexible, and I make my own schedules. But I do, as a result, have a lot of availability in the evenings, especially Monday through Wednesday. So those are my kind of oddball office hours. They might change a little bit once the kids go back to school. They might be even later on Monday and Wednesday from like a 4 to 8 p.m. instead. But our Tuesdays is when I work from home all day, and our go-to sessions will always be on Tuesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Thursday and Friday, I'm in the office all day, kind of normal operating hours, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you guys always have access to me through the platform. I do prefer that you contact me first through the FSO platform with the messages or within the feedback section to each of your assignments. That's the best way to kind of keep that conversation. I know what you're referring to. I know which assignment you're talking about. That's the best way to connect with me. And then if you wanted to, you can reach out to either my email or Google Voice numbers in there. So that's going to be the ways that I connect with you, and you can connect with me. Other than that, I will ask that you kind of keep, just the communication streamlined. I do have about 80 students at this point. We might be adding another section at some point. So it might be 100 plus. And then I'm also ending a month with 75 plus students. So it's a lot of people to keep track of. So I'm just kind of asking to keep this as streamlined as possible. But definitely be sure that you're checking your messages from me. This is how I will reach out to you first and foremost to get in touch with you. If there's a question, if something hasn't been submitted properly, I will reach out to you within the FSO platform. All right. Also, one other great place for you guys to check is the announcement section. I use this quite a bit. And as of today, you should have received these 3 announcements from me. So you can access the announcement section over here. It might look a little different for you guys because you're on the student side, not the faculty side. So you wouldn't have grading and things like that. But you should have this announcements tab. And that is where I will kind of communicate to my classes as a whole. So you should have received all 3 of these so far. So make sure that you're checking that regularly. Once the go-to session has concluded, I will send an announcement with the follow-up link. I will send some due date reminders in here. I will send examples of work through here. So that announcement section is going to be one of those vital sections of the platform that I expect that you kind of check back to regularly, as that's how I will communicate with you guys as a whole. All right, managing your account within FSO. I will ask you guys to please add your photos. You can go ahead and add your little photo in here. It really absolutely lets me learn who you guys are a little bit quicker, especially with so many students putting the names and faces together. That photo in the platform really does help me out. So I will ask if you guys could this week, please add your own photo to your account. I will also ask that you guys set your notifications, get email notifications if things come up within the platform. Again, this will look different for you guys, but I would go ahead and set all of your notifications to being on so you don't miss any important communications coming from me or your classmates. Lastly, you need to set your time zone. So Full Sail is on the East Coast in Orlando, Florida. I am also in Orlando, Florida, and you need to set your time zones appropriately. So if you're in if you're in California, you need to set it to Pacific Standard Time and set it appropriately to wherever it is you are. Why do I ask you to do that? Because time zones are very important for Full Sail, especially being online. So everything is going to be due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so that's where the platform will shut down and no longer let you submit your work. So if you are, 3 hours behind us, you don't get an extra 3 hours to complete the work. So your due date, if it was 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, your due date would be 8:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you guys will go in there and set your correct due date to the platform so it will help you out with all of that. All right, so I'm going to take a break right now. Cassandra, I see that you have a hand up. So I'm going to ask you in the chat box first. Do you want me to unmute your microphone or was that just by accident? Cassandra. Let me know if you still want me to unmute your microphone, Cassandra, and we'll keep kind of moving on because the next part of this section is introducing yourselves, guys. So I want to know a little bit about you and also give you the opportunity to talk to your classmates and talk to me. So what I'm going to ask you to do is talk a little bit about why it is that you're here. So answer these questions if you want to. Maybe we'll take about 3 or 4 students, giving the time maybe about 30 seconds to just a minute, a quick, brief introduction of yourself. Tell us your name, where you're from, what degree program you're entering into, and why did you choose this option. Okay, so Cassandra, I do see your message, so I'm going to go ahead to you first, and then we'll go through the introduction. So Cassandra, I'm going to unmute you. Hey, Cassandra.
Hello.
Hi, what's up?
So I didn't get a chance to write your number and extension down. Is there any way that you could
Yes.
repeat that real quick for me, please?
Yes, I'm going to go back a couple slides. Okay, it's 407 679 0100, extension 3421.
You said 3421.
3421 is the extension.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Did you want to introduce yourself too?
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassie.
Thank you.
Well, I'm actually Cassandra.
Do you go by
Please call me
Cassie?
Cassie. Please call me Cassie.
Call you Cassie. Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Princeton, West Virginia.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
And
a long way away.
you definitely are. So what degree program are you entering into?
I'm in audio production and I'm doing my bachelor's degree.
Okay, cool. So why audio production?
I've always been interested in music. Like, I like the feeling that comes along with it, that, like, no matter what mood you're in, there's a song to go with it.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. So great. So thank you for sharing that, Cassie, and thank you for letting me know your nickname as well. I will hopefully remember that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Cassie, thank you. You're going to get Jenna Bell saying hi, Cassie, in the chat box. So let me see if there's any other hands up. Sean, I see you, so I'm going to unmute you. Hey, Sean. Sean, you there? Sean, I'm going to try you back in a minute. I'm going to go over to Taylor. Taylor, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Tell us about
Glad to be
yourself.
here. Well, I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I'm probably a little bit country, but that's okay. But I'm in school for audio production.
Okay.
Going back to what Cassie said, it's like for music, you know, it's a feeling it's for each kind of music, you feel me? Like you kind of gravitate and feel that music inside of you. Like that's why I'm in audio production. Like music is everything. Music controls the mind, the soul. Like music is that's just what it is, you know. So I'm happy to be here and I'm gonna give it 100%. And I look forward to connecting with all of my classmates. Okay. So hey, I'm ready.
Awesome, Taylor. Well, thank you for sharing. Cassie says yes with an exclamation point in the chat box. So you two will have to definitely get together and chat and become buds as you are moving through your degree program.
Most definitely.
Awesome. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, Sean, I saw that you said that your mic is not working. So I'm going to go to Nathan. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, I'm Nathan Campbell. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I currently reside in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm taking up creative writing, just really because I'm a creator. I love to create in all arts, though, not even just limited to like script, but music as well. Everything. I just want to create, and so I got into creative writing just to hone in my skills, and hopefully I learned some things from everybody here, all my peers, and especially all my teachers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nathan, for sharing. I love your energy. Thank you. All right, guys. So I think I had one more. Chad actually said in the chat box, you're from North Carolina, a disabled veteran. I'm going for the game design bachelor's to help create games for veterans to help them cope with being out of the service. Awesome, Chad. Thank you for sharing that with all of us as well. I appreciate it. Jenabelle, let me see. You have your hand up, and I think you also made a comment here. But Jenabelle, I'm going to unmute you, so this will be our last introduction for the day. If your mic is working. I'm not seeing your microphone turn green yet.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
I can. How are you?
Hello. Hi, I'm Jenabelle O'Malley. I'm living in Dayton, Ohio. I'm taking my audio production bachelor's.
Okay.
I already have an associate's in audio production and video production, and I'm Pro Tools certified.
Cool.
Mainly, you know, going back so that I can try to get the dream job. Most jobs want you to interview only if you have a bachelor's degree. They're not really interested in just an associate's degree. So.
Well, you've got that associate's degree as a head start there, and you are definitely well on your way. And then Cassie and Taylor with you in the audio production as well, so that's great.
Yeah. Go audio production.
Usually I see a lot of gaming students, so it's interesting to kind of see how everybody shakes out with their different degree programs. So you guys definitely should connect and keep in touch with each other. Thank you, Jenabelle.
Thank you.
Thanks. Chad, you're not left out, I promise. There's going to be game design students. I see game design, I think, is our largest degree program. Chad said he's feeling so left out. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of the hands down here in the control panel and move on to our next section. So I'm glad that you guys took that opportunity to just get familiar with the microphones, get familiar with speaking to a larger group. And so I do appreciate those that introduced themselves and had the ability to do that. So I definitely welcome you guys to continue kind of reaching and pushing yourselves forward a little bit more to move a little bit out of your comfort zone if that's something that you wouldn't normally do. All right, so in this section, hold on one second. I'm getting a question here. Yes. Okay. So I have a question coming in from a student asking if are you still able to access the recording if you're unable to complete the session today? Yes. So let me pause and kind of say a couple of items about that. If you guys, if you register for the go-to sessions and then you find something came up in your schedule, you can't make it, you don't need to let me know. Just be sure that you watch the recording. Or, you can attend the live session or the recording, whichever one it is. You need to be watching the go-to sessions. You're responsible for the material. But if you, for some reason, can't make it, that's not a problem. If you come into the room late or need to leave the room early, also not a problem. Everyone will have access to the recording. And even if you did attend the live session, you do have the ability to kind of re-watch it. So you don't have to take, feverish notes as you're running through this. You have the ability to kind of re-watch in different sections if you'd like to. So that's one of those benefits of attending class online. So next here is the section where I'm talking a little bit about expectations. I think it's always wise to set expectations in the beginning of any relationship, and we have a teacher-student relationship at this point, so it's always wise to set your expectations and talk about your expectations as well. So I will actually go first here, and then I will turn the tables over to you guys and ask you to talk about your expectations of me. But first, I want to talk to you about my expectations of you all as my students for the next 4 weeks. So some expectations that I have, first and foremost, is that you guys really approach the course with a very positive attitude and an open mind. I think a lot of you guys are so, and I love it, you're so excited to get started. You probably have been working through admissions and getting through all of the steps for quite a while now, and you're like, finally, it's here, let's go. And so we're going to hit the ground running this week. But some students, at times might think, like I was talking about, they're not thrilled about having to take an oral communications course at the very start of their program. But it is one of your core classes. Everyone is needing to take that. So instead of having kind of a closed off mindset, just be open to all the things that may be, wonderful items that you may be learning from me or from your classmates, from the assignments, whatever it happens to be. But there's always something that can be absorbed and obtained from all of your classes. So just try to have a very positive attitude and open mind. Next is ask me questions. I do want to tell you guys that I don't think there are any dumb questions. I know that you guys are just getting started. Everything is very foreign and new and overwhelming to you at this point. I know that. I know exactly what you're feeling. It's probably quite a bit of a combo of energy, excitement, and anxiety at the same time. But ask me questions. That's why I'm here, is to really guide you and help you through the course. But I will say this about questions. There is an appropriate time to ask the question. So be sure that you are asking me items at the appropriate time. And what do I mean by this? I mean that ask me the question about the assignment before the due date, not after the due date. So you guys have lecture on Tuesday afternoon, which means, your assignments are open all week. So you're able to access the instructions. You have access to me in the go-to session on Tuesdays, access to me Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm not traditionally available over the weekends. I try to really focus my attention on my children and getting them all their activities because they're busy as can be. So I would ask you guys not to wait to the last minute when your due dates approach on a Sunday evening, because I more than likely won't be available. So that's probably not the best time to ask me a question. A more appropriate time is going to be during the week, during office hours, when I'm completely and 100% available to you guys, okay? So third on the list, I would like you guys to be proactive in your education, okay? Again, I know that this is a lot of information coming at you at one time, and sometimes can just be so overwhelming. But you guys are online. I don't have the privilege of being able to see you 2-3 times a week. I can't read your body language because I can't see you. I can't hear that tone in your voice telling me that something might be off. So you need to be the ones that reach out to me, let me know if some kind of situation has come up. I'm more than happy to work with you as best I can. But if you kind of just go into hiding, I won't know about it. So you need to be the one that really kind of takes the reins and makes sure that you are being the leader in your own education. Also, you're going to get what you put into this, okay? You're going to get out of this experience what you put into this. So my expectation is that every single week with me and your other instructors that you will encounter over the course of the next 29 months, that you show up every week, every assignment. You show up with your best attitude, your best work, and you show me and your classmates just how capable you are, okay? You're putting in your best effort, because that effort is going to pay off tenfold at the end of your degree program. That hard work will absolutely pay off. So show up every week doing the maximum amount of effort that you could possibly do in each and every one of your assignments. Next, I do expect that you guys are open to listening to me as your instructor and your peers and taking in the feedback that I provide you and your peers as well. Feedback is a huge part of my job, okay? And so I've taken a lot of I've given a lot of feedback. I've taken in a lot of feedback as well and tried to implement that, because the way that feedback is given and absorbed most effectively is if it's done in a constructive way. My feedback given to you is always intended to help you improve and grow and move to the next level. It is never meant to be negative. It is never meant to be derogatory. It will never be derogatory. It is always meant to help you, put a spotlight, show a spotlight on what it is that you're doing well, and then also show you what could be improved upon and give you suggestions on how to improve upon that particular item, okay? It will always be instructive, I can promise you that. But I do expect you to take in that feedback and really not have that layer, that edge that a lot of people tend to have when they receive feedback and say, you know what, I don't need to take this personally. This person is obviously trying to help me improve. So take it as such and make sure that you're absorbing that feedback and applying it to the assignments that are coming up. Lastly, I do expect that all of my students show a lot of respect for creative diversity that is surrounding you, okay? You have students from all different walks of life, all different parts of the country, and all very different degree programs. This is a core class. There are 8 different broad degree programs, and there's going to be people from all different parts here. So just have a lot of respect for the creative diversity that is surrounding you. All right, guys, so I'm going to kind of throw this back at you and ask you to tell me what it is that you're expecting of me as your instructor, okay? So I'll give it a couple minutes, and you guys can answer in the chat box if you'd like. If you want to raise your hand and talk over the microphones, you may do that as well. So let's see. Sean, is your microphone working? I see your hand is up again. Do you want to give it a try, Sean? You can let me know in the chat box. And everyone else, if you want to tell me what your expectations are of me as your instructor, you can add it to the chat box or raise your hand as well. All right, Cassie, I see your hand is up, so I'm coming back to you. All right, Cassie, go ahead.
Hello.
Hey.
Just like whenever I have like extra questions or whatever and stuff, yeah. I have kind of like a little bit of a learning disability, so it takes a little bit of extra explaining sometimes.
Sure. No problem. Sometimes we can hear it one way, or we see it, or sometimes it just takes a couple of different examples to make it click. So guys, if you would like me to kind of sit with you,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes, talk with you one-on-one, or chat with you back and forth, whatever the way you best absorb information, we can kind of learn that.
Sometimes I won't get it one way, but like the next example is whenever it clicks in my head.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to kind of take a little extra time either after the go-to sessions, or we could schedule an appointment once a week if that, or just call me real quick, whatever it happens to be. Definitely happy to try to explain it a different way or from a different perspective, or show you an example to help you get that click happening. No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Sean, you said you're ready. So let me find you on the list. Sean, there you are. Sean, I'm not able, it's saying you're not able to chat. I'm not sure what's going on your end. Let me see. Okay, so sad face. Me too, sad face. Would anyone else? You can absolutely add your comment about expectations into the chat box as well. So I'm looking for you guys to respond to me. What are your expectations as having me as your instructor? What are you looking for me to provide? Cassie, thank you for adding that comment just a couple of seconds ago. So I'll wait one more minute to see if you guys have anything else to add. Jennabelle, I see your hand, so I'm going to come to you. Jennabelle, you there?
All right. Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey. So I mean, I've never done any like online schooling, or really like any online at all. As a matter of fact, the internet guy just left from setting up my Wi-Fi, which I'm getting solely for the purpose of doing school.
Okay.
So I can't really say that I have any real specific expectations based off of things that I know that I should expect. Mm-hmm. You're probably effective at the things that I would expect. I mean, with the fact that of what you're responsible for teaching us, I would venture to say that my biggest concern would be like being told exactly what to do on assignments and things like that. So I would venture to say with you being a communication, class type instructor, you're probably going to be pretty good at that, but that would be the main thing that I wish to expect.
Okay. Just clear instructions and how to complete the assignments.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. I do take quite a bit of time each week to show you guys exactly what I'm expecting. And then I also back it up with some examples to get that visual image as well. So you have a better idea of what it will look like. But yeah, absolutely. I hope that I kind of fulfill that expectation as best I can, especially with the communications portion of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Sean, you're now logged. We're gonna get you talking, Sean. Let me try this one because you're now logged in twice. Sean, you there? Sean? Oh, I thought it would work this time. Darn it. Okay, Sean, I'm gonna mute you again. All right, let me see here. Okay, we have a couple of comments in the chat box, so let me go over those. Isaiah, thank you. Just basically guidance throughout this first month is all. So yes, I will hopefully give you as much guidance as I possibly can, getting to know the FSO platform, getting to know your resources and such at Full Sail, and trying to kind of get you guys coordinated as classmates and give you a space where you can connect and communicate. So thank you, Isaiah, for that addition. Gabriel, I'm kind of in the same page as Cassie. In my case, English is not my first language, so it's possible that I will ask for things to be repeated so I can fully understand them. I'll do my best. Gabriel, I absolutely understand that, especially with English not being your first language. We can absolutely chat one-on-one if that works best for you as well. And that offer goes to everyone, not just Cassie and Gabriel. If you would like to have time to, set aside each week, or if you'd like me just to kind of explain assignments in a different way, just let me know. And that offer, again, is extended to everyone. Derek, he said, yeah, because I still stuck on the professional presentation assignment in the audio production degree. So yes, Derek, I will be going over that assignment in detail once I kind of get through this first section of my lecture, guys. So thank you for adding those comments to the chat box, and those of you that talked over the microphones as well. So we're moving forward here, a couple more items to talk about. And this first one is going to be professionalism, all right? So I do expect a high level of professionalism, and I think that you guys will be able to expect a high level of professionalism from me as well. There is a professionalism activity that you need to complete before the end of this week. Professionalism, or your GPS points, are worth 10% of your grade. I rarely make deductions in the professionalism area. But I had to this past month dealing with some plagiarism issues and how we were handling that. That is going to be something that is taken very seriously. So make sure, guys, that you are completing and submitting your own work each and every month. That is going to be an expectation here. So the professionalism activity needs to be completed, and you need to read through all of the items that are expected for this particular activity. Sean, you're saying, oh, how do I do that? No, Sean, I'm not sure what you're asking in the chat box. No, how do I do that? I'm not sure what you're asking, Sean. But make sure, guys, that you complete the professionalism activity by Sunday, August 5th. And that's just marking that you have completed it. Also, copyright. So for this course, this isn't going to be a course where you have to do a lot of formal APA-style citations. You're going to learn that quite a bit in English composition, but there are going to be assignments where you might be using someone else's images, someone else's music, so you need to give credit where credit is due and try your best not to violate any copyright rules or guidelines here. And I will show you quite a few images, especially in week number 3 when we start talking about building a visual presentation on where to find copyright free images that are free for you guys to use and incorporate into your own presentations. Just be sure that you are providing your resources as we move forward. So next one is going to be the college level writing standards. Okay, so you will have a bit of writing assignments to do starting this week as we're moving through the week 1 material. So I am looking for you guys to use the college level writing standards. What does that mean? That means having, a really great command of your grammar, capitalization, punctuation, spelling, making sure that everything has been proofread before you sent it in. This also comes into play when you're communicating with me. I do give you guys access, to my Google Voice number, so it is kind of more of like a text speak. But keep in mind, probably over 1,000 students have messaged me on there, and if I don't have everybody saved in my address book or in my contact list. So if you're texting me or doing anything for the first time, make sure that you tell me who you are. Hey, Kristen, I'm so-and-so from your CRP class. Just had a quick question for you. So I would also ask you guys to kind of avoid the text speak, be a little bit more formal when communicating with me. Your instructors down the line will also be appreciative of that as well. All right, lectures. The lectures are going to be each Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Those of you attending the live session, thank you very much. I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you guys have very busy days. But if you aren't able to attend any of the live sessions, that is not going to count against you. That is not anything to worry about, because I will record each and every session and post it within a couple of hours of the conclusion of the live session. So each one will be about 2 hours. This will be the longest. They'll kind of dwindle a little bit in time as we're moving through the remainder of the month. All right, submitting assignments. Now, you guys are probably towards the end of the week going to say, I remember she said something about completing or submitting the assignment. So I want to go over this briefly, but this is probably my number one question that's asked over the weekend for week number 1 is how to submit your assignments in the platform. All right, so here's kind of a screenshot with some instruction here. So some of you guys will complete assignments where you are able to upload a file. Say it's a Word file or a Keynote file or a PowerPoint file, an actual file that you can drag and drop into the platform. And that's super easy. You would just take your file and drag it into the completion area. It would then upload into the platform and show a check mark that you have completed that assignment. That's the easy way. But a lot of you guys may be using a web-based program. A web-based program might be something like a YouTube video, an Adobe Spark assignment, Powtoon, it could be Prezi. Those are all programs that you may use based on a website, okay? And when you're done with it, they will give you a link instead of a file, all right? So what do you do in that situation to get around the, not being able to kind of drag and drop it into the platform? Here's the workaround for that. Create a Word or a text-based document and include your name and the link to the file, and then upload that entire document into the platform to show you've successfully completed the assignment. Again, I recommend Adobe Spark for the TED Talk assignment that's coming up in a moment. And a lot of students are like, I finished it, but now I don't know how to get it into the platform. That's how you do it. You create a text-based document and put the link in there. On my end, on next Monday when I start grading, I will open the Word document, click on the link, and go grade your assignment. So that's kind of the workaround. But if something comes up and you don't remember how to do it, you can always put the link into the feedback section of the platform as well. Okay, so also file naming conventions. This is just a really good habit to get into for completing your assignments and trying to keep a great organizational structure to all of your assignments. So the correct way to name a file at Full Sail, and this will probably be true for almost all of your instructors, is to name it by your last name _ first name _ assignment name. And here's an example with my own name, Heaney _ Kristen _ 1.4. So if you can kind of get into that habit now, that would be great. I don't count off points if you don't name the assignment correctly, but I'll probably send you reminders just to kind of get into that habit. All right, feedback is going to be an important part of the course. Each and every one of your assignments will be graded with a numerical grade, and I will also include my own either written or audio feedback for each and every assignment. So I am expecting you not only to look at that numerical grade, but also to either read the feedback or listen to the feedback file that I send to you. But make sure that you're applying that feedback for the future assignments as well. All right, so just a couple other of resources within the FSO platform that I wanted you guys to be aware of. These will be important to you, so I want to kind of show you around a little bit. In the About section here in the platform, under Announcements, you'll see About. And this is a great area to find the course syllabus, some bonus material, and the all-important FSO support card, okay? So FSO support, this is going to be a major resource to you guys. I would suggest adding their phone number to your contact list, taking a picture of this, having this on you, because I promise you, you do not want me helping you with tech support. I'm not very good at it, but these guys over in FSO support are absolutely wonderful and can help you with most of the issues you're experiencing. I think prior to our go-to session today, someone asked me a question about having some difficulty logging into the Office 365. That would be a definite question for FSO support. Anything where you're having upload issues into the platform, if you're having issues with some of the programs, they can definitely help you. They have the skills, the tools, the ability to do that. They're open almost 24 hours a day. You can see Monday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. And I would suggest calling them as opposed to emailing. It'll get a quicker answer to you. But that's definitely something that you want to keep available. As you're moving through your degree program, FSO support is going to be a major, major resource for you. All right, so also in the platform, under like when you add your little picture, you can go to your account. You can also go to resources here. And this is where you will see Safari Books and lynda.com. Okay, two wonderful resources. Obviously, you need Safari Books for the course. So for our course, you will see two books that are available to you. They're both by a woman named Nancy Duarte. The first is called Resonate, and the other is called Slideology. So these are the two books that we will use throughout the course, and then we'll also have some supplemental material, which I will give you guys access to. But you definitely need to do all of your reading from both of these textbooks. All right, lynda.com, that was the other resource on the page. This is a wonderful area that you guys have access to as students to Full Sail. You do need to access it, I believe, through the library instead of trying to set up your own login and ID. You log in through the library to have free access. But this is a wonderful resource when you're starting to learn some new programs. Maybe it's going to be presentation software or something for a different class, but it gives you very professional, well-done tutorials on how to use different programs. They also offer a certificate of completion of the course once you're finished. I did, as I was new to Full Sail, I did a Google Docs training in about an hour and a half, and at the end of it, they provided me that certificate for the course. So definitely take advantage of this awesome resource that you guys have access to. All right. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to pause because I'm going to kind of transition to another section of the lecture. Do you guys have any questions about the items that I've covered thus far? Any questions for me at this point? Jenna Bell, no questions. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to take Jenna Bell's word for it, and she's answering for the entire class. But if you guys have, and Derek's saying, no, ma'am, not right now. If you guys do have questions, I will stop again periodically. But I'm going to kind of shift now from Full Sail and FSO platform into our coursework and letting you guys know a little bit about what to expect about the course from here on out, and then we'll go into all of the assignment details. Sean, okay, I'm going to try one more time for your mic check. I'm unmuting you, Sean. Sean, are you there? I'm not seeing your microphone turn green. Maybe we can try at the conclusion of the live session, Sean. We can try again then. Jennifer, push the mic, Sean. We'll try again later, Sean. All right, guys. So let's move on to talking about what it is that you're working towards throughout the month, okay? So obviously we have a lot of ground to cover. We're in day number 2 of week number 1 of 4 weeks to complete. But I'm the kind of person that likes to know, what's the end goal? What am I working towards? What is the big result at the end of this course? So I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk to you guys about what you'll be working on to build up to our final project. Obviously, this is due on the last day of the course. It's not due anytime soon, but a lot of the assignments will start to build to create your final project. So let me tell you a little bit about that. And there's this guy tossing all of his stuff out the window. So that's why I want you to start here. I want you guys to take everything that you've ever learned about delivering and creating and prepping for presentations, and I want you to kind of just toss it out the window at this point, because a lot of times we're taught something very different than what this course teaches, what Nancy Duarte teaches in Resonate and Slideology. So for your final project, you guys will be delivering a 3 to 4 minute audio-visual pitch to a specific audience. Okay, so you're going to be taking the perspective that you have recently graduated from your degree program at Full Sail, whatever degree program that happens to be, and you're moving on to the next phase, right? You want to go and start your career. And so we're going to ask you that you pitch yourself and your brand, which we'll talk about branding next week, but you're going to be pitching yourself to a target audience. And that audience will either be a company or a client that you'd like to work with in the future. So in that pitch, it's going to be audio visual. So it's going to be your voice narrating. You don't have to appear on camera, but it's going to be your voice narrating the content of your presentation along with some visuals. And I will give you guys some examples of my own students' projects that they have created in my time here at Full Sail. And they've given me permission to share their projects with you. So that's really what you're going to be working towards. This in no means is going to be due at the end of this week, but this is going to be what your final project is. And I will be working you guys through the planning assignment next week, the first draft, the final draft. It happens in phases, but don't let it freak you out. But I definitely wanted to give you an idea of what it is that you're working towards throughout the class. But in the meantime, this is a great time to start learning a new software if you're not familiar with any of these presentation softwares at this point. Just to let you know that this course, it's only 4 weeks long, and we teach the concepts of building a presentation and delivering a presentation. We don't teach the software programs. There are so many out there that we would get so bogged down in teaching the particulars of the software that we would never have time for the concepts. So you need to start kind of getting familiar with the different presentation softwares. So say, for instance, there's a couple listed on the screen. One might be PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides, Adobe Spark, Prezi, Powtoon is another one. It could be a video option with YouTube. This is a great time to start learning some of these softwares, and lynda.com is a great resource for tutorials on all of these softwares. But again, you will eventually be creating an audio visual presentation with a presentation software, okay? So this is a good time to start learning about those. All right, our textbooks and a little bit about the author, Nancy Duarte. So these textbooks are very different than your typical college boring textbooks, okay? She does a really nice job of just connecting with her audience. That's one of the main concepts of the course, is making the audience the hero. We'll talk about that in a bit. But she's a very successful CEO of her own company, won many presentation awards for design and delivering presentations. So we have chosen her 2 textbooks, Resonate and Slideology, as the textbooks for this course. Those are offered through Safari Books. She also offers a multimedia version of Resonate at resonate.duarte.com if you wanted to try that one as well. All right, guys, so I'm going to now take the next several minutes going through this week's assignments, okay? And I know that some of you guys have had questions about what to expect with these, so I want to show you the instructions, the grading rubric, and some examples as well of the assignments. Okay, guys, so here is just a quick snapshot of everything that you need to accomplish in week number 1 for CRP, okay? This column right here, actually this column is going to be the title of the assignment. So you have 4 assignments that need to be completed this week. This first column with the dates of July 30th is the publish date. That is when you actually have access to viewing and working on the assignments. The second date is going to be the due date column. And as you can see, for the majority of everything except one item, everything is going to be due on Sunday, August 5th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when the platform will shut down and no longer allow you to submit any of your assignments. So that's why those time zones are important, and making sure that you are adhering and abiding by those due dates. As I said, there is one exception to the rule, and that's going to be the initial post for the 1.3 presentation history discussion. I'm actually going to ask that you post your initial post before midnight on August 1st. That is this upcoming Wednesday, tomorrow night at midnight. But the discussion will remain open until August 5th. So let's go through all of the assignments in detail so you guys know what to expect here. All right, so the 1.1 go-to training, those of you that are here in the live session, all you will need to do is come back into the platform and mark it as complete, okay? So you will have that completed. If you're watching the recorded session, also once you're done with that, come back into the platform and check that you have completed that assignment. In weeks 2, 3, and 4, this is where you will see the registration link, the click here to register, and I will also send out an announcement on Monday mornings with the registration link and reminder as well. But that's going to be the first item that you need to complete for week number 1. All right, week 1, the 1.2 learning activities and Resonate. So we're just going to concentrate on reading from the Resonate textbook this week. We'll add Slideology in next week. So you need to cover chapters 1 through 4 and chapter 7 in the Resonate text here, okay? And once you've done that, super easy, just come back and mark as completed, and it will show that you have completed that assignment, okay? All right, guys, so 1.3, now we're starting to move into items that are weighted towards your final grade. So the 1.3 presentation history discussion is 5% of your overall course grade. And this is that assignment that had 2 due dates. The first is the initial post, which is due by Wednesday, that's August 1st. And the 2 reply posts are due by Sunday, and that's when the discussion board will shut down and no longer allow you to connect with your classmates in that discussion. So that's due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. All right, so if you guys have already started on this, and a couple of you have, that's wonderful. You are all, if you kind of go through the instructions with me today and realize maybe I forgot something or I want to add something, you're able to make edits to the to your initial post up until the closure of the discussion board. All right, guys, so these discussions, which you will have periodically throughout the month, are meant to kind of mimic a classroom environment, okay? So this is kind of the closest we can get to bringing you guys together. So it's really meant to be a real-time discussion as best as possible. So that's why it doesn't stay open all month long. So these discussions have a beginning date and an end date to make sure that we're connecting within a good, amount of time, so it's not taking forever for someone to reply. My expectation here is that you guys try to engage with your classmates as much as possible with the goal of furthering the conversation by asking questions, asking opinions. Hey, what do you think about this? Have you ever tried that? Those types of items. So kind of think of this as a classroom discussion as much as possible. So try to engage and visit the discussion board each day, if you would, between now and the due date of Sunday. All right, so what I need you to do is go into the platform and you will write at least one post and reply to at least 2 students. So you would first do the initial post and then reply to 2 of your classmates as well. You can see the discussion once you're in the platform by clicking on Go to Discussion, and then you'll be able to see everyone else's initial posts. Mine is in there as well. It should be the one that appears at the very top. All right, so let's check out the instructions and the downloads for this assignment, guys. All right, so obviously presentations are going to be something that, some of us have a lot of experience with, or some of us have no experience with. Some of us feel very confident and comfortable delivering presentations, and some of us have the fear in us about standing up in front of a group of people. And that's going to be kind of the spectrum that we're in this class. And I see it every month. A lot of students are very hesitant to deliver presentations, don't really like this activity or this skill. So I want to kind of see where everyone is at based on their past experiences and their expectations of the course. So we're kind of looking at your own presentation history up to this point. And what I want you to do in your initial post is talk about some of the prompts that are listed here on the screen, okay? So say, for instance, in your initial post, I want you to kind of start writing it out. I mean, give us a little bit of detail. Let us into a little bit of your past and what you've experienced thus far. But let these questions act as a guide to you, okay? So in your initial post, you need to, number 1, describe your level of comfort delivering presentations. Are you fearful or are you completely comfortable? And give a little bit of an explanation as to why. If you have fears, what would make you feel more at ease? 2, discuss a public speaking experience that you remember. Was it good or bad? What did you learn from the experience? That experience could have been something as early as, elementary school, or maybe it was something at camp that you did very, very, very young in age. It could be something that you did last week. Just try to remember a public speaking experience that you remember and you want to share a little bit about. 3rd, discuss a time that you created a visual presentation, such as PowerPoint, a video, or Prezi, or something like that. What was your biggest challenge, and what did you learn from the experience? So also in your initial post, be sure to share what would you like to learn from the class, and what do you think you need to improve upon in your presentation skills, okay? So those 5 prompts right there, and the responses that you create to those prompts will make up your initial post, okay? That's the initial post that you'll be sharing with all of your classmates and myself. That is what is due by midnight on Wednesday night, okay? So once you have done that, I want you guys to make sure that you visit the discussion board, that you're connecting and engaging with your classmates as much as possible. The minimum requirement, is that you reply to at least 2 different students, okay? So you need to reply to 2 different students using something called the RISE model, all right? So let me go to the RISE model. Jennabelle, let me answer your question in one moment. So here's the RISE model. So when I say 2 replies, I don't just want you to write, thanks for sharing, or I agree with you. Those don't really spur the conversation on anymore. So this RISE model was created by another instructor here at Full Sail to kind of guide you through how to give detailed feedback and responses in a discussion, okay? RISE stands for reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. So in your 2 replies, I am looking for you guys to start to mirror the RISE model with how you're interacting with your classmates. I'm absolutely looking for you to especially use the reflect and inquire, the R and the I prompts here, the R and the I steps to the RISE model. The reflect, I relate to what you're saying. I completely agree. I've been there before. Items like that reflect on the other person's initial post. But then I also want you to ask some questions, because questions are a great way to keep the conversation going. Tell me a little bit more about that experience. What did you use for that particular presentation? Ask your classmate questions to continue the conversation. After that, move into suggesting and elevating. Maybe suggest some items that maybe you have found helpful in the past, or just content or something that you would suggest would be helpful to that classmate, and then elevate to the next degree, expand in this capacity, to kind of further address how you can bring that classmate to the next level and help them improve. But the reflect and inquire is definitely going to be what I'm looking for in your 2 replies to your classmates. And again, it's a minimum of 2. All right, so this is the grading rubric. Jennabelle, let me come back to your question before I go over the rubric. You said, are those prompts listed anywhere else? Jennabelle, right now they're only listed within those, the PDF documents. Those are actually, let me take you to the platform. Why is this not working properly? Hopefully it will log in quickly. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm currently, you guys should be seeing my view of the FSO platform. So I'm going into the week 1 items, and in the presentation history, a discussion, you guys will see the PDF instructions, okay? So that's where those instructions are always available to you, and that's true for each and every assignment. You should see the instructions, the rubric, and then also the RISE peer feedback model. So if you just click on that PDF, this will be the instructions that I just did screenshots of as well. So those instructions are right here when you need them. I was just kind of giving you the screenshots and showing you what those instructions look like, but those will be available to you. Those instruction files, the rubrics, things like that will be available to you guys for each and every assignment. No problem, Jennabelle. Have a great day. So let me go back into the note. All right, guys, so back to the grading rubric for the 1.3 assignment, all right? So this is how I will come to your numerical grade. We have to have a way of kind of grading everyone across the board. So this is what a grading rubric looks like. The PDF copy that you have is the same content. This just looks a little bit different on my side because we keep it in a Google Sheets to keep, to kind of keep data going and all of that. But the content is the same. So here is the rubric. I'm looking in 4 different categories for relevance, rationale, the learning community, and mechanics on this one. So I'm looking on a scale of exemplary to accomplished to developing to beginning or incomplete. So obviously you want to aim for having using this as a checklist of sorts and aiming for the items in the exemplary category, okay? So if I was to assign the exemplary category for the relevance column, the student posts content related to the discussion topic, including all prompts and required questions. So this goes back to, did your initial post address all of the prompts that I just went over? Did you leave a couple of them out? If you left a couple out, it obviously wouldn't be exemplary. It would be accomplished or developing. The rationale. Student expresses opinions and ideas in a clear and concise manner with obvious connections to the topic. You're staying on topic. You're providing detailed explanations as opposed to just 1 or 2 sentences per prompt. Okay, go into a little bit of detail here. The learning community, this has to do with those 2 reply posts, okay? Student frequently attempts to facilitate future group discussion and presents creative information about the topic and post. Student interacts freely and meaningfully with multiple students, okay? So for instance, if you guys did a fantastic initial post, but you didn't reply to any of your classmates, that would be a 0 for this section, which would be minus 30 points right off the top, which is a 70. And it's at Full Sail, a 70 is a D. So definitely want to be sure that you're completing all of these assignments in full. So I am looking for you to reply to at least 2 different classmates using the RISE model to have that exemplary category. The last item on the rubric here is mechanics, okay? Kind of going back to that college level writing standard, proofreading your document, free of spelling and grammar errors, punctuation, capitalization has all been used appropriately. So this assignment, again, is 5% of your grade. So here's just some tips here to kind of remember. Post your initial post by Wednesday, August 1st into the platform. Answer all of the prompts that are listed, the ones that I just showed you guys. Make sure you're using the RISE model as you're continuing to engage with your classmates. And remember to have at least 2. I would encourage more, guys. You've got a lot of great classmates surrounding you, so try to engage with as many classmates as possible. Okay, so any questions? I'll pause here. Any questions about the 1.3 discussion assignment? Any questions about the discussion? Chad, you're good to go. Great. Cassie, I see your hand is up. Is it a question? Tracy, thank you. Okay, I'm unmuting you. Go ahead, Cassie.
Are you allowed to talk to more than just the 2, or is it like preferred that you just speak to 2?
I prefer actually that you reach out to as many classmates as you want, but when it comes back to me grading, I'm looking for you to reply to at least 2 different students. But I definitely encourage you to reach out to more than 2. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'm not shy. I'll talk to all of you. I don't care.
Cassie's coming for you. That's great, though. I think that's a wonderful way to connect with your classmates. I definitely encourage you to do that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Just making sure. You're welcome.
No problem. Okay, let me see a couple of items in here. Okay, Derek, you're saying, okay, so it got to be all the questions. Derek, does that mean you have questions, or are you settled? You don't have any questions? Isaiah, no questions from you. Trisha, I haven't done any public speaking or visual presentations before. What should I discuss for the prompt? Trisha, good question about that one. So if you don't have any personal experience delivering a presentation or creating a visual presentation, that's fine. More than likely, you've probably been in an audience where you have witnessed someone deliver a presentation. Maybe it was a toast at a wedding. Maybe it was something to do with work. Maybe it was a graduation ceremony, something along those lines. So if you don't have any personal experience, you can kind of shift it to where your experience was as the audience member. For the visual presentation portion, if you haven't created that, just be honest about that. At this point, I haven't created one. You will be over the next couple of weeks, but just be honest about that and say that you haven't created one thus far, and that's fine. Derek, so you said for the discussion post, do you have questions? I'm not clear, Derek. Do you have questions, or are you good to go? If you have questions, just add them into the chat box. And Trisha, thank you for asking your question as well. So as I'm kind of waiting for other items to come in, I'm going to start talking about the major assignment this week, which is the 1.4, a professional presentation analysis assignment. Okay, this is kind of your major assignment this week. It's 15% of your overall course grade. This assignment is due this Sunday before midnight, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is going to be something that you'll be working on throughout, more than likely the week, and then it will be due over at the end of the weekend. Let me see. There's a comment in here. Cassie, you're saying, does he have to ask all the ones that were brought up? Oh, I guess you're responding to Derek here. And he said, never mind, I'm confusing myself. And guys, we can obviously kind of chat after I've gone through these as well. If you want to jot down a question, or if something comes up, we can always talk about it at the end. If the question kind of pops back into mind. So back to the professional presentation analysis. We also call this one the TED Talk assignment. All right. So, and then let me see here. Trisha, you were saying that you've never delivered a presentation, but right now for this week, you guys will be the audience members to at least 3 different presentations. So I'm going to ask you guys to let me know if you've ever heard of something called TED Talks, and that's TED Talks. Anyone ever hear of TED Talks before? Tracy, yes, good. Gabriel, yes, very excited. Yes, yes. Sean, no. Okay, so Sean, you will get a great introduction to TED Talks this week. Derek, no as well. All right, guys, so there is a website called TED.com, all right, TED.com. And this is just access for any and everyone of people delivering short presentations. I believe they can be no longer than 20 minutes on almost any topic that you could think about, all right? So this is going to get you introduced to watching or being an audience member to, seeing different people present items in different industries, different topics, all of those different items, okay? So if you go to, let me go show you this one as well. I'll show you the website. This is TED.com. Okay, so this is their website, okay? I know it's technology, education, and I'm not sure what the D stands for at this point. I'm going to have to look that one up. But if you're on the TED.com website, you can go up here to search, okay? I'm a communications girl, so I'm going to type in communication, all right? And I'm going to have a huge list of items that come up with related TED Talks to communication. For this assignment, I don't know what's going on with my second monitor today, guys. I'm sorry it keeps blanking out on you. You were able to see, like this one right here, Elizabeth Lesser's Take the Other to Lunch. I've used this one so many times in one of the other courses I used to teach, okay? But you can pick 3 different TED Talks for this assignment. That's what it is, Gabriel, technology, entertainment, and design. That's what the website says. Thank you. And I thought it was education, but it's entertainment. See, Nancy Duarte, The Secret Structure of Great Talks. That would be a wonderful one if you wanted to get to know Nancy Duarte a little bit better. But you don't have to pick communication, right? If you're a gamer, you can type in video games. If you're, into audio production, you can type in music. If you're into creative writing, type in writing. The category is not, I'm not giving you the TED Talks that you have to watch. The choice of TED Talks that you watch is up to you. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this assignment and what you are expected to do. So I want you to watch a minimum of 3 different TED Talks, which can be found at TED.com. And I want you to answer this overall question of what is it that makes a presentation effective, creative, captivating, and or inspiring, okay? So you guys are going to be sitting in the seat of the audience member this week to really analyze what it is that the speaker is doing to keep you as an audience member captivated and engaged in their presentation, okay? So this assignment has 3 different steps. I'm going to go over the instructions, the grading rubric, and then I'm going to show you 2 different but wonderfully done student examples of this assignment. All right, so as you're watching your 3 different TED Talks, you will consider these questions. Why was this presentation powerful or moving? Why did you like this presentation? Was it the content alone, or was it how the speaker delivered the content? What made the content appealing? What made it relatable? How did the speaker draw you into care about the subject or the topic? What did you get out of this presentation that you would not have experienced reading an article about the topic? What kinds of emotions did the presenter elicit? How did they do this? Okay, so in step number 1, you're going to watch 3 different TED Talks, and you're going to complete a thorough analysis, not a summary, but an analysis, using these prompts right here as a guide to completing that analysis for each of the 3 TED Talks. So you will complete 3 different analyses for the TED Talks that you have chosen. That's going to be step number 1, guys. Make sure you use these prompts. These prompts will guide you into creating a thorough analysis. I'm not looking for summary information, okay? I'm looking for you to dig a little bit deeper, to talk about how that presenter and how that talk really captivated you or engaged you as an audience member, or perhaps they didn't, and I want to know the reasons why they didn't captivate or engage you, okay? But let these questions right here guide you through the process. So that's step number 1. Oh, my screen. Okay, step number 2 is to create a document, okay, for this assignment and include supporting visual imagery. A lot of students have questions about what does visual imagery mean. Basically, it means that you're going to add a complementing or an enhancing image to accompany your analysis, and I'll show you how that's done on those 2 examples. But really, it's an image that complements the overall gist of the analysis. It could be a screenshot of the speaker. It could be something to do with their subject matter, something that will complement the content of your analysis. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, conclude your assignment with your own list of 10 qualities. This is one comprehensive list, okay? And those are going to be 10 qualities, techniques, or presentation skills that made the presentations that you watched inspiring, captivating, creative, and effective. I also want you to provide specific examples from the presentations that you've chosen to watch to support your claim and explain why these elements contributed to a powerful presentation. All right, so that's what I want you to do is steps 1, 2, and 3 of this assignment. This doesn't have a specific look or a feel. This is a written assignment. It's not an audio assignment. It is a written assignment, but this can be completed in Word. It can be completed in PowerPoint, Adobe Spark, Pages option. I like that one a lot. It can be used, can be completed using most software programs. So I'm going to show you 2 different student examples, all right? Let's see. The first is created. Okay, this is a site called Adobe Spark. You will hear me recommend this one quite a bit throughout the month. It is a free program offered by Adobe. I believe you just need to create an account, a free account with them, and you have access to their website for creating, written-based content and then also audio-visual presentations as well. So this is a student of mine, Lisa Muse. She, I think, was in my class 15 months ago, but she used Adobe Spark to do the 1.4 presentation analysis. All right, so here's an example of work using Adobe Spark. All right, so her first TED Talk that she chose was by John Legend, okay? And so she's included the visual imagery. She's included an image of John Legend here. And then she's moved into a thorough analysis of his TED Talk, okay? So then you're getting an idea of what it kind of looks like and the amount of detail to provide for an A+ assignment, which this was. All right, her second one is talking about have you been unsubscribed. She's giving the presenter's name. She's giving a link to the TED Talk, which you do need to provide, and she's also providing that image. Again, very thorough analysis of this TED Talk. Last one was about finding true love. She gives the link, she gives the presenter's name, she gives the title of the TED Talk, an accompanying visual, which complements her content very nicely, and then a third analysis. So as you can see, steps 1 and 2 are completed in this section here. And then here is step number 3, her one cohesive, comprehensive top 10 list, all right? So she talks about humor is a great icebreaker, okay? Educating your audience. And then she also gives the example how the speaker educated the audience, okay? Poise and clarity, these types of items are going to be listed in the top 10 list along with the supporting detail coming from the TED Talks, okay? That is going to be a excellent, well done TED Talk assignment. That was an A+, all right? That was created again in Adobe Spark using the Pages option. I also want to show you another one. It looks completely different, but it is fantastic. All right, this one is by a student of mine named Maricel Rodriguez. Great job with this one. As you can see, it looks very different. I think she created this with either Word or InDesign, but she does a wonderful job of kind of keeping consistent with her assignment. As you can see, she has provided the title of the TED Talk. She's provided the speaker of the TED Talk, a thorough analysis. She's also provided an accompanying supporting image with a game controller. Obviously, that's going to go and coincide and complement your brain on video games. I also like how she included a brief quote from the TED Talk as well. So that's her first analysis. Second analysis, can you really tell if a kid is lying? Obviously, a little kid off to the side. The formatting is consistent. All of the required information has been provided. And then number 3, addiction is a disease. Very, very powerful complementary image as well, with the bottle being chained to someone's hand, the quote, the analysis, all very consistent with the formatting. Wonderful job with this. And then she moves into her 10 qualities of a good presentation. She's got 4 on this page, 4 on the next page, 2 on the last page. She also goes an extra step to add a small icon to accompany each of the qualities, okay? And a lot of great detail to support, why empowering the audience is such a wonderful quality with public speaking, okay? So as you can see, these look like 2 very different assignments, but they hit all of the requirements very, very well, very thorough job, great formatting, visually appealing. All of those items have been accomplished, okay? So those are 2 examples that I wanted to show you guys of the 1.4 assignment. So let me go over the rubric and we'll pause for questions. All right, so this is the rubric. It looks similar to the one that I just showed you a bit ago, but it is not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same layout here. So for this assignment, I'm looking in 6 different areas. I'm looking at your content, critical thinking, relevance, mechanics, and delivery. All right, so those are going to be the 5 areas that I'm looking at. For the content, I'm looking that you met all of the requirements thoroughly. You've done steps 1, 2, and 3, and you completed them in a thorough way. I'm also looking for your content to be in depth and well explained, and that all of the prompts were considered in your analyses. Relevance. The assignment content is directly related to course material, books, videos, articles, and concepts. Okay, so I'm looking for you to bring in and tie in some of the items that you learned and resonate, some of the items that we'll talk about today in lecture, and tie it into this assignment and explicitly state that. Mechanics, again, it's a written assignment, so I am looking for you to have exceptional command of grammar and mechanics, no errors, and that you just really excel in this area. Lastly is the delivery, okay, and this has to do with the visual aspect. The visuals enhance the main points of the presentation. The text is readable and clear. So how are you visually presenting your information, all right? So that is going to be 15% of your total overall grade is going to be the TED Talk assignment, guys. All right, so I will pause here to see if there are any questions about the 1.4 assignment. Leah, good question. Aside from screenshots, where would you recommend finding visual imagery for this assignment? Leah, let me show you a resource. And everyone, not just Leah. Let me see. It's called compfight.com. This is my go-to resource for copyright-free images. This is going to be something that you could use. Let's just go with video games. Just as a quick topic. All right, here. So as you can see, this is pulling up a lot of different images that you can incorporate. I would suggest staying with the images that are listed underneath this dotted line, if you can see that right there, because you want to have commercial use for these. The ones above the dotted line, and I'll click on one for you, they're going to ask you to either pay for them, sign up for an account, things like that, and there will be a watermark on that image. It will quickly pull up for me. Hopefully it does. All right, so as you can see, if I wanted to use this image, looks like from one of the Mario worlds, it will have this large Shutterstock watermark. And you want to avoid images with watermarks. It's usually an indication that there's, there's a copyright issue there. So I would suggest trying to find the free images. And on this particular site, compfight.com, you will see that these below here are usually free for you to use. Okay, so this one is free. You're able to download either the small or the medium or the original size, and it also gives you the photo credit that you can copy and paste as your image. Okay, so I would suggest using this one. Try to get away from just using Google Images. It can be images that you've taken, that you have created as well for this assignment, but that's a really great resource. I usually show this in week number 3, but figured why not show it to you now. You can use compfight.com. Pixabay is another one. Pexels, Creative Commons are also great resources for that. Hopefully, Leah, that answered your question. Domingo, you're asking, can it be about anyone? So Domingo, yes, you have complete and free reign of the TED Talks, the 3 TED Talks that you were able to choose. I'm not limiting you on a category. As long as it is a TED or TEDx talk, you can use that as your assignment. Cassie, is your hand up from earlier, or do you have a question now? I just see a hand right now. And also anyone else, if you have any questions. Cassie, coming to you. Hey, Cassie.
Hi.
Hey.
I was wondering if you could do 2 things at once, like how basically music is an art form, and do you know what I mean?
Like search for TED Talks of 2 different topics?
Yeah, bring up how music is art in its own right, you know?
If you were able to search the TED.com website and find a TED Talk that kind of goes along with that idea, you're more than welcome to use that. But what we're doing now, the point of this assignment is really to kind of sit as an audience member and analyze what that speaker is doing. So I am asking that you do use a TED Talk for the purposes of this assignment. So if you can find that topic on TED, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was just asking if maybe they would have had something like that, like music as art and stuff like that.
They might.
Because I like both. Because I draw and yeah.
You're more than welcome to search the site. There are thousands of videos on there. So I'm sure you'll probably find ones that really kind of entice you. I think a lot of times students, especially students who've never seen that website, they kind of start going down the rabbit hole and they click on the next one and the next one, and they've all of a sudden viewed 10 different TED Talks and are really captivated. So I think you can really jump from one to the next easily with this assignment. You might have to limit yourself.
Yeah, I might have to do that.
You might have to. Did that answer your question?
It might turn out like YouTube though, because sometimes watch one video and then you end up watching videos for 6 hours.
Right, you've been up all night.
Anyway. I don't know about y'all. That's me anyway. I don't know about y'all, but that's me.
I think we have all been in that situation at one time or another. Definitely relate. I'm not saying I have or haven't, but maybe I could relate.
I have.
Cool.
I'm not even gonna lie. That's me.
Did I answer your question, or do you have any more for me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, Leah, let me see. Yes, thank you very much. You have to leave for work. Okay, you have a great day too, Leah. Gabriel, are we allowed to use the TEDx talks that are in YouTube? I'm fine with that, Gabriel. If you access those through YouTube, just make sure it's either a TED or a TEDx talk. So guys, any questions, big or small, whatever, if you're hesitant or you want me to explain something again or kind of rephrase it, just let me know. I know this is a little bit overwhelming, a lot of information coming to you at once, but please, definitely flood me with your questions right now. All right, well, I'm not seeing anything come up at this point. Oh, wait, Tracy, do you have a preference for page layout? Tracy, actually, no, I don't have a preference. As I said, this can kind of take on its own look and feel. I really highly invite you guys to incorporate your creative spin on all of your assignments. As long as you are hitting all of the requirements, steps 1, 2, and 3, and you're being detailed, you can make this look however you want it to. I have students that make this just a phenomenal project and just do a fantastic job. I had one student in graphic design that just went so far and above. I'm oftentimes fearful of showing that one because I don't want to overwhelm anybody. But incorporate your own spin, your own style, your own creativity into this assignment. And as long as I can clearly see that the requirements have been met, I invite you to kind of make this look how you want it to look. Hopefully that answered your question. Trisha, this is related to the discussion. Okay, I write books which I intend to be read, but that would probably not count as public speaking, would it? Trisha, if you were reading the books, if you were reading to a group of people out loud, that would count as public speaking. I wouldn't necessarily say that your books being read by individuals would count as public speaking in this. Kind of think of it as an oral communications situation that I would ask you to be like kind of thinking of. Did that answer your question, Trisha? Derek, I'm glad to see that your questions were answered from this morning. Great. So anybody that's listening, if you have any questions, let me know, and I can definitely address them here before moving on a little bit to the content. Cassie, okay, if you're in audio production, can you do the assignment as something else? Absolutely. You guys, you are not limited to the category. You may choose any 3 TED Talks that you would like to do. I oftentimes kind of tell students, if you're interested in audio production, start there, but you're not limited to it whatsoever. Trisha, okay, and your question is to kind of tail in onto the other one, and it has to be words. Guitar doesn't count either. Trisha, that's interesting. So in essence, if you're playing the guitar, you're performing, but you wouldn't necessarily be speaking. You wouldn't have that oral communication, that public speaking. So yes, I am kind of looking for you to recount or talk about a public speaking experience for the discussion board. So any other questions? Domingo, you honestly like going beyond your limits. That's wonderful. I invite you guys to go well beyond your limits. Push yourselves out of your comfort zones, especially starting this week. Next week, we'll really hint, start to kind of push you, not you, and just maybe for some, start to push you out of your comfort zones. But this week, we're just going to kind of concentrate on being audience members and really analyzing what it is that makes an effective dynamic presentation. Domingo, you're saying you would want to see that game designer's TED Talk. I invite you definitely, if you wanted to use some of the examples as jumping off points. Absolutely. I will say this, guys, and it has come up more than I would like about the examples that I showed you. Just as a blanket statement, to put it out there, I'm honest. I'm very familiar with these examples. I show them, regularly throughout my months. To give students a great overview of what phenomenal work looks like. I really expect that their content, their images, their work does not appear in your own work. That is a violation of plagiarism. That's academic dishonesty. I've had it come up recently, and I really hate to see that happening. So I am expecting you guys to use those as guides. But if their work starts to appear in your own work, that's going to be something that we will need to talk about as an academic dishonesty. And you really don't want to get into that area. I'm expecting you guys to create your own original work for each and every one of your assignments. These students have graciously allowed me to show you their work as examples, and I'm very grateful that they do that. And this goes for every assignment, but definitely make sure that their content and their items are not appearing in your own work. Okay, so just wanted to kind of put that out there to everybody so that we're all on the same page. Okay. All right, so moving on a little bit, we've got about 20 more minutes, and I wanted to talk to you guys about some content that we will be discussing and important to you guys this week. All right. So back to our textbooks by Nancy Duarte. All right. Again, these aren't going to be your traditional, college type textbooks that are oftentimes very boring. Okay. They're actually quite interactive. A lot of great images incorporated throughout the text, a lot of great examples as well. But they're really nice books. I think they're easy reads. We will start in Resonate this week and then move into Slideology next week. But Nancy Duarte really puts an emphasis on learning how to connect with your audience as a speaker. Oftentimes, as I told you guys, kind of take everything that you've ever learned about public speaking and toss it out the window. Because oftentimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as the speaker to talk about what we want to do and what we want to talk about and how we want it to look. And in that thought process, we lose sight of our audience, all right? And our audience is going to be the central focus of the entire presentation. And that's what we're going to talk about quite a bit today, is learning how to make a dynamic and effective connection with your audience, no matter what the speaking engagement is. Okay, so that's where we're going to kind of start this week. And one of the great ways to connect with your audience is through storytelling. All right. Storytelling is a way that for decades and millenniums and all of these times going way, way, way back in history is a way that people connected with one another, starting with a story. And it's a great way to do, kind of break the tension with your audience and let them get to know you a little bit better. But I wanted to ask you guys, what are some of the elements that are needed for an effective story? What are the basic elements that are needed for a story? And you guys can answer me in the chat box. What are some of those elements that must be included in order to have a fantastic story? What do you need to have with your story? Sean, emotion, absolutely. Isaiah, a plot. What else? An antagonist and a protagonist. Absolutely. What else do you need? A place, so a setting. Gabriel, conflict and resolution. All essentials, guys. Cassie, details, where it took place, when it took place, the emotion, a hero. Absolutely, guys. But at its core, at its just basic foundation, we need to have three things: a beginning, a middle, and an end. And according to Domingo, it must also have a dog somewhere. And a cat, according to Cassie. So guys, that made me laugh. But guys, when you're telling a story, right, you need to have a structured beginning and a middle and an end. And all of those wonderful things like the conflict, the rising conflict, the identifiable characters, the buy-in or an intrigue. But you want to make sure that it's organized and that it has this basic structure. Let me ask you this, and I'm a parent of two growing young men who are almost taller than me. But of course, I've raised them since the day they were born. And have you ever heard a kid tell a story? Have you guys ever heard a kid tell a story? Because what tends to happen, and my little one Jake does this all the time, it just goes on and on and on forever. And it's transitioned by the words, and then, and then, and then, and then. Okay, so some of you know what I'm talking about. And you're like, bring it home. I'm like, baby, bring it home. We need to have the conclusion. I need to know what's going on. So that's what you want to avoid, is just going on and on with your story without a clear beginning and a middle and an end. Keeping that solid structure for the audience that is listening to your story. Okay, an organized message. An organized story is one that is easy for your audience to follow and absorb and remember. So you want, you just want to be communicating with your audience, making sure that you're moving through each of these three phases, making clear transitions while speaking, and keeping the audience focused. Cassie is saying it's very entertaining by the end, though, because they found out so much joy in telling it. Cassie, I agree with you. They're so proud. Little kids are so proud when they're telling that story, because they're just getting it all out. But as we progress and as we refine our storytelling skills, make sure that this is definitely included. I say this because as you start to build the brand yourself presentation for the course, it needs to have a structured beginning, middle, and end. And we'll start working on some of that structure next week in the planning process. But I just wanted to kind of throw this out there. This is a great way to connect with your audience using storytelling. All right, so question for you guys. How many, and if you say that this is how you feel right now, I'll be very offended, but how many of you guys have ever felt this way, like the little Lego guy behind the wall, feeling trapped in a presentation? How many of you have felt this way? Domingo, current mood right now. Domingo, you're on my list. Cassie, you have felt this way. Sean, you too. Okay. So that definitely is something that you want to avoid. And oftentimes this is happening because the speaker is not focused on connecting with the audience member. One thing you must always keep in mind is the audience. What is it that makes them tick? What is it that they relate to? The last thing that you want to do is make them feel trapped. Remember, they are what is called the hero of the entire presentation. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our heroes, which is also known as the audience. All right, so there's going to be obviously a relationship between the speaker and the audience, all right? So for quite a bit of time throughout the course, I'll be referring to the speaker as the mentor and the audience as the hero. This is going to be one of the major concepts of the course that I will ask you guys to continue to remember your audience in all aspects of building a presentation and delivering a presentation, okay? So just to kind of give you a broad overview explanation, the presenter or the speaker is going to be the mentor in the situation. They're the ones that are sharing the knowledge and the experiences, and they are giving that roadmap to success. The mentor is the one that really is planting the seed to the audience, all right? The audience, on the other hand, is the hero. They are the ones that are supposed to go out and follow the steps and actually fulfill the mission. They will do the work and take the message to the next step. Think about it. They are the ones expected to vote for a candidate or buy a product or join a particular team, right? They're supposed to be the ones, the heroes are the ones that fulfill the mission. So in this class, for our purposes and our relationship, I am currently the mentor, providing the tools, the wisdom for creating an effective presentation. You guys are my heroes. You're my audience. You're the ones that are going to do the work and accomplish the assignments and the tasks throughout the month. But in the final project, you guys are going to kind of take on the mentor role and guide the audience into doing something as a result of your presentation. More than likely, it's convincing your audience to hire you or join with you in a professional relationship. Derek is saying, as in the music industry, it's the fans, right? They would be your heroes, and it's your job as the performer to connect with your heroes, okay? So this mentor-hero relationship can be translated into all industries, all right? But think about that. Think about how you want to relate to your heroes, all right? So how do you relate to your audience? Oftentimes, they're kind of an afterthought. The audience is sometimes the afterthought, and they need to be in the forefront of your mind throughout every stage of the process, okay? So as you're trying to think about your audience and how to relate to your audience, you need to try to imagine what an average day is like for your audience in order to relate and connect with them, okay? So some things to consider that are a little bit deeper than demographic information. I'll talk about demographics in a moment. You want to dig a little bit deeper to find out what really is truly at the core of your audience as a whole. So as I start to kind of craft and create my message to you guys, my heroes, my students, I think about some of these items. First, I think about your lifestyle, okay? Your lifestyle is more than likely very busy. You're juggling several responsibilities at once. Family, careers, now you've added school on top of it, and, emergencies start to happen, and catastrophes start to happen, and all of that. So you're juggling quite a bit. I have to think about your lifestyle. I also need to think about your knowledge prior to delivering information to you, okay? What is it that my audience knows about the topic at hand? And more than likely, I'm assuming that some majority of my students have had some presentation experience. Maybe it's not a ton, but they've at least been witness to a presentation or delivered one or a few presentations, okay? Because I want to consider where I'm talking. This isn't a master's level course, so I don't need to go to that extreme. I need to keep it as an intro level course at a 4-year university. Okay, so your prior knowledge is going to be a factor for me to consider. Next, I have to think about your motivations and your desires as I'm speaking to you, okay? What do you need and what do you desire? More than likely, as my students, you guys and your motivation is to complete your degree programs with success. All right, values. What is it that you value? More than likely, you value your friends, you value your family, you value your career, your passion, and your dreams. What are your influences? Okay, so if I'm going to be talking about influences and things that you guys can relate to, I need to think about that. Earlier, I mentioned that I have a lot of game design students regularly each month, and I talked about my kids playing Fortnite. Okay, more than likely, a lot of you guys would relate to the game Fortnite, at least in some way, shape, or form. Some of you might not, but that might be a major influence on some of you. A lot of other games. For some of you, all of my audio production, start talking about music. So those are going to be influences on you. Last is going to be respect. How does your audience give and receive respect? More than likely, respect is given and received through listening and empathy. Okay, so those are kind of some of those things that I think about when I'm crafting a message for my particular audience, okay? Trying to craft a presentation so that I can relate to the most amount of people in the most effective way. All right, Cassie, you put a comment into the chat box, but also the people that you work closely with, the ones that don't get a lot of credit, but their jobs are just important, the underdogs. Cassie, I think that you were talking about the response to maybe lifestyle when I was talking about that. I'm not positive, but I'm assuming that. So I'm going to keep moving here. So that's about how to relate to your audience. All right, so I love this quote. Cassie, thank you for the yes, ma'am. I love this quote. Designing a presentation without your audience in mind is like writing a love letter and addressing it to whom it may concern. Okay, keep that in mind. You would never write a love letter or a text or an email to someone without, that kind of information. You would never write it just on behalf of anyone and everyone or to whom it may concern. It's addressed to a very specific person, and you're talking about items that audience would absolutely just grasp onto and relate to, okay? So kind of keep that in mind as you're starting to create your own presentations, that you're kind of addressing or drafting this love letter in essence, to your audience. You want it to be all about them. Keep the audience as the focus of every presentation. I just mentioned some ways to segment the audience as well, talking about demographics. Demographics are ways to kind of segment an audience into items like gender, age, level of college education, income, political interest. Those are the kinds of things that people might start to segment their audience with. You also might include things like special interests, okay? Pop culture, music, media, politics, those can be included in there. The time and location, also thinking about the time of day and where it will be held. Those are important items. And then also the attitude of your audience. The attitude of your audience is important to try to know that before entering into a speaking situation. So there's a couple of different attitudes of an audience that could be considered here. And we'll talk about these 4 before wrapping up for the day. So obviously you want to have, a good idea of the demeanor of the audience before moving into a speaking situation. So for you guys, I think for the majority of you, you're a friendly audience, right? You want to be here. You've enrolled in college here. You're happy and excited and energetic. So I don't have a lot of combative audience members. So it's very easy to talk to you guys, right? Because you want to be here. You're a friendly audience. Think of speakers like Tony Robbins or Dave Ramsey as well. People pay a lot of money to go through their programs or to see them speak. Okay, so that would be an example of a friendly audience, one that we all strive to have. But that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes you might have an apathetic audience, right? You might have audience members that just don't care about the topic. All right. Maybe that's some of you guys. I'm hoping that it's not. But the goal when you have an apathetic audience is really to communicate why this information would be of value or of importance to them. Okay. Try to make it, again, all about relating to your audience. You might have an uninformed audience, okay? It's not that they don't care, they just might not have any prior knowledge about the topic. So you may need to start with more at a basic level and then build from there. You don't want to start at level 5 when everybody else doesn't understand levels 1 through 4. You might need to start down at level number 1 and build from there so that they have a better understanding of the content of the topic. And lastly, the audience that none of us want to have is that hostile audience. As you can tell, I think in our political climate today, a lot of items dealing with politics might have a lot of people that are very hostile in the audience, which is a difficult thing to overcome. One of the best ways to kind of make some common ground with a hostile audience is to find something that everyone can agree on, right? Kind of get everybody in the crowd nodding up and down. Okay, I can see your point with that. I agree with you on this particular point. Okay, come to an agreement about an issue and then pose your potential solutions after establishing some common ground. So those are the 4 different types of audiences: friendly, apathetic, uninformed, and hostile that you may encounter at some point. Okay, guys? And those are just different hints and ways of dealing with those types of audiences. All right, lastly, the mentor. And I like analogies or comparisons, okay? So when you're presenting, when you guys become the mentor eventually, I want you to think of yourselves as a GPS system, right? A GPS or a navigation system. So guys, answer me in the chat box. What does a GPS or navigation system provide? What does it provide for those that are on the user end of it? Isaiah, direction. Gabriel, a path. Andre, direction. Okay. Domingo, location, location, location. Right, guys. So you guys, as the mentors, are going to think of yourselves as the GPS. All right. A GPS provides guidance, provides the person confidence, and the necessary tools to get to their destination, okay? So that's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about your job as a mentor when you're eventually the one presenting, is how to get your audience from their starting point to the destination, staying with them along the way, giving them the step-by-step guidance and directions in order for them to complete their own mission, to get to their destination and complete their mission, okay? So that's what I want you to kind of start thinking about as you guys eventually become the mentor in the situation, all right? But I will go ahead and wrap up for today. But before we do that, I wanted to see if there were any other questions that I can address as I'm still recording. And once I am stopped recording, I'll stick around for a couple of minutes as well to see if there's anything else that you guys would like to discuss. So any questions about the assignments or the content that we have discussed today? Domingo, you're asking, can we see the game designer's TED Talk? Are you just wanting to know the title of the TED Talk, Domingo? If so, yes, I can show you. No, just want to see what their limits were. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any other questions, and then I will come back to you on the TED Talk there. Tracy, nice question. Do you work with drafts or just final projects? Okay, so I'm glad that you mentioned that here. If you guys would like me to take a look at your work early, prior to the deadline, for just feedback purposes to make sure you're on the right track, etc., I will accept your work up until Friday at noon my time, Eastern Standard Time, so that I am able to, look at the assignment, get my feedback, and send my message back to you. I'm happy to do that, but I would need it by Fridays at 12 p.m. or noon in order to give me that turnaround time. I also ask that you just send me a quick note saying, hey, Kristen, could you just look at this for feedback? I'd appreciate it. Something like that, letting me know that you're not just submitting it early, but you're asking for my feedback prior to the deadline. I'm happy to do that. Okay, guys. Well, it's 3 p.m. We got this right at 2 hours. I'm quite proud of myself right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the recording. As I mentioned, I will stay in the go-to room for about 5 or 10 minutes to see if there's any other questions. If you guys don't have any questions, you are free to go for the day, and I will see you again next Tuesday for our week 2 go-to session. So thank you, guys.